Imagine one day you turn on the news and hear reports of yet another wildfire this year. The next day, your friend tells you about another animal that has gone extinct, adding to the dozens from the past few years. Later that night, you turn on the news again and hear the reporter explain that water in your area is extremely scarce and there will not be enough for everyone. This is not only the reality of future generations, but of some people alive today. Global warming is happening right now and is already having disastrous effects on animals, their environments, and people's lives. Therefore, we must all do our part in whatever way we can to address the issue. But what can we do to help? Composting is a great way for individuals to help in the fight against climate change and add to your life at the same time. Global warming causes detrimental effects to environments across the globe. Ice caps at the poles melt due to global warming, which not only raises sea levels, but also destroys the habitats of animals that live on the ice. Polar bears have to swim longer and farther to find food, either often drowning from exhaustion or getting stranded on land without enough food to survive. Global warming also causes harm to marine environments by destroying coral reefs, which are vital to underwater ecosystems. Coral reefs have been around for more than 450 million years, but climate change threatens to completely eradicate them in less than 100 years. Glaciers that supply water to places like El Alto in Bolivia are melting too rapidly because of global warming. Edson Ramirez, a glaciologist who studies the glacier near El Alto, among other glaciers, explains, without doubt, global warming is one of the principal features that is provoking the melting of these glaciers. The people in El Alto rely on the glacier in the mountain nearby for their water supply. The glacier has been around for thousands of years, but 80% of it is melted in just the last 20 years. A major contributor to climate change is food waste in landfills. When organic matter decomposes in landfills where it is deprived of oxygen, it releases a harmful greenhouse gas called methane into the atmosphere. According to NASA, methane is the second largest contributor to global warming behind carbon dioxide, and landfills are the largest source of man-made methane that finds its way into the atmosphere. NASA also reports that the concentration of methane in the atmosphere has more than doubled in the last 200 years, and scientists estimate that methane is responsible for 20 to 30% of climate change since 1750. Tipese Perez, in his article in the Scientific Reports Journal, explains over 1/3 of global food production is estimated to enter the waste stream where it contributes to to greenhouse gas emissions. Food waste in landfills releases harmful methane, which contributes to the global warming crisis. To do your part in the fight against global warming, composting is a great way to reduce food waste and, in turn, lower your carbon footprint. When food is composted, it has access to oxygen, so it does not release the harmful methane gas into the atmosphere, unlike in landfills. Composting does more than just reduce your carbon footprint, however. It also enriches soil, reduces the need for chemical fertilizers, and increases the production of beneficial bacteria in soil, which all allow you to grow your own food and plants from your own food waste. The United States Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA, explains, composting is nature's way of recycling. It is one of the most powerful actions we can take to reduce our trash, address climate change, and build healthy soil. Starting a compost is a great way for an individual to help in the fight against global warming. Now that you know what composting is and why you should do it, you need to know how to do it. You may think you need some sort of special equipment or that composting requires a lot of effort. However, the EPA lays out how you can start composting today right in your backyard. Before you begin, you need to know what to add. You'll need nitrogen-rich materials or greens, such as fruit and vegetable scraps, grass clippings, coffee grounds, and crushed eggshells. You will also need carbon-rich materials or browns, such as dry leaves, plant stems, sticks, shredded paper, and wood chips. You should avoid adding materials that can attract animals like meat, dairy, large amounts of cooked food, or pet waste. To start, you'll need to choose where to store your different materials so that they can be composted later. Store greens in a closed container somewhere in your kitchen, like the refrigerator or on the countertop. On the other hand, store browns outdoors in a designated area or container. Then make a space outside for your compost pile, or purchase a bin that your compost can sit in. Make sure the location of your bin or pile is near a water source and has good drainage. Before adding your materials, try to break them down into smaller pieces so they will decompose more easily. The first thing you should add into your bin or pile is a 4 to 6 inch thick layer of browns at the bottom. Then layer greens and browns on top, adding water as needed. You should have about 2 to 3 times more browns than greens in your pile, and cover any food scraps with 4 to 8 inches of dry leaves or other browns. Once all your materials are in your pile or bin, turn your compost occasionally to ensure proper air circulation, and keep it about as moist as a wrung out sponge. Evidently, composting is not as hard as you may have thought, but it still requires some degree of maintenance and care. A well-maintained compost only takes about 3 to 5 months to finish, but it can take up to a year if not properly maintained. If your compost is too dry, decomposition activity will slow down or even stop. In this case, moisten your compost with water and turn. If your pile or bin has a bad odor, it may be too wet or not have enough air circulation. In this case, add more browns or dry materials and turn your compost. The compost should heat up when you turn it, so if it does not, mix in more greens and turn. Once it no longer heats up when turned, allow your compost to finish for at least 4 weeks. Finally, you can add your compost to soil to grow flowers, vegetables, fruits, and even houseplants. In conclusion, global warming is a serious issue that will continue to have destructive consequences on the world if we don't do anything about it. To do your part, you now have all the information you need to start composting right at home in your backyard. So instead of throwing away your food scraps and contributing to the crisis, save them and compost them. After all, this is the only planet we get, and it's our responsibility to take care of it, not only for ourselves, but for future generations to come.